Welcome back to Breakdowns and Bets, Halloween edition. And I'm going to be eating this the whole time. I'm Santino with Brandan, Olivas, and we are talking one of the biggest fights probably in a long time, right?
If you're referring to the Dustin Jacoby fight, you would be right, since his last fight against Darren Stewart.
Solid. Yep, always Dustin. Wait, didn't he just fight Stewart like 3 days ago?
Yeah, short notice. It's Dustin Jacoby fight week. Let's go.
It's also Brandon Olivas fighting COVID week. How's that going?
Yeah, as you guys can see, I'm on my deathbed. It's been really tough to even make it to the podcast today. I'm lucky to be here, but I'm surviving.
You're surviving that bad case of COVID.
Yeah, ivermectin's been getting me through. All the horses and me were loading up.
So you weren't able to do anything for Halloween, huh?
No, I felt bad. There's kids that came to my house and everything. I couldn't even give them candy.
Yeah, oh man, Enzo, my son, for those of you who don't know, just had a rant about the people who decorate their house and get it all put together, but don't give out candy. And he went off on everybody. He's pissed off at the world. And he was like, if you're worried about COVID, if this and that, then first of all, my dad got it. I think I got it. We're fine. So if you haven't gotten it by now, you're probably fine too. And then it didn't hit me. Like, I'm not worried about, or they shouldn't be worried about getting COVID from the kids. The kids should be worried about getting COVID from the Brandans.
Yeah, absolutely. Here you go. Here's a little dose of COVID for everybody.
Hey, so
only take one.
I wanted to take a time. You have done a great job with procuring us sponsors. Brian Hamper over at Sucker Punch has gotten us some sponsors. We actually have a new sponsor today, and that's Crispy Crunchy Chicken, the best, freshest chicken there is. 1201 East Missouri Avenue in Phoenix. Never frozen. It is so fresh. The chickens aren't even killed until we order them. Okay? That's it. Crispy, crunchy chicken, folks. I dare you to find some better chicken.
Well, I'm super happy to have them. Thank you again to Brian Hamper for making that connection happen. That one feels like it hits really close to home.
It really does. It's a local Phoenix-based company. Well, not Phoenix-based company, but Phoenix-based restaurant. So if you're in Phoenix, check them out and get yourself some chicken.
And the only thing that goes better with chicken is LaCroix. We're back with LaCroix. Thank you guys. Shout out for restoring our relationships, and we're back and rolling. So let's get off to a good start this week.
Okay, so there's a ton of fights. Did the Contender or Dana White's Contender was tonight? Did you throw some money on that, or how? By the look of that, either the COVID is acting up, or you didn't do that well.
Yeah, I'm in maybe a little bit of a somber mood here. I actually had some amazing calls. I bet Jonas over Kanan, the Hawaiian guy. I got that one. I called almost an upset pick with one of the Asians, one of the Chinese fighters. I thought he won the fight. So did Dana White. Judges gave it to the Brazilian. So I felt super sharp going into the Burlinson fight. Another Cage Warriors guy, 14-1 as an amateur, 6-0 as a pro. The guy who's fighting gas tank issues, kind of sloppy, just not in the same league or caliber, and delivers the most insane, brutal knockout that you're going to find. And just sucks. That just sucks.
Do you have anything on, I mean, because there's LFA fights, there's Bellator fights. What else? Is that everything this week? And then the UFC, or is there?
All right, we got a few things, guys. So listen closely. I'm going to run through this for you guys. So what I've been doing in my COVID time is staying at home and watching film from the second I open my eyes until I go to sleep at night. So we're running 12-hour film shifts here. So I'm not done with everything yet, but we'll just go through this really quickly. So let's see. We have Bellator on Friday morning. For us, I think it starts at 10:30.
Will you back away from your mic a little bit? I think it's a little. Try that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
You were like so loud. You're in my soul. That's too much.
All right. So Bellator Friday morning. Locks. We have Gokhan Sarikan. He's a Moroccan Turkish kickboxer, heavyweight. He's really solid. He's going against a 38-year-old. They're obviously just doing that to let him win this fight pretty easy. Fabian Edwards, don't overthink that one. He's fighting a late replacement 40-year-old Brazilian, and he's pretty talented. That's going to be a lock. Derek Kelly, not a big fan of Derek Kelly. I don't think he's the best fighter in the world, but he is also fighting a 40-year-old. He's 9-0 as an amateur, fighting a guy who was 2-2 as an amateur. That's just set up for him to win in his country. The last one I think is really interesting on Bellator, guys, Elias Boule. He's a K1 kickboxer. He was the runner-up in the Grand Prix. He was ranked top 10 in the world in kickboxing. He is fighting his third fight in Bellator, fighting a guy moving up from 135 pounds, been off for a few years. That should be a great one. That's another showcase fight for him. They're trying to pump him up and let him win. So those are my picks for Bellator, at least right off the bat until I get deeper into the card.
Who's James Gallagher fighting? I know he's on that card, right?
Patchy Mix.
That's right. And that's forget about betting. Who do you think actually wins that fight?
I have never seen Patchy Mix fight once in my life. And I've only seen Gallagher fight once, and I wasn't impressed. So I need to really sit down with that one and give it its time.
Okay. Any thoughts?
And then quickly... Oh, yeah?
No, just going to say, any thoughts on the main event? Patricky Pitbull fighting... who's he fighting? Peter Queally.
Yeah, again, I've never seen either of those guys fight, so I'm going to have to sit down with that one. I'm going to have to give it, again, the time it needs. There's so many cards this week. There's Brave CF, and Jose Shorty Torres is fighting Ali Bagutinov. That's a great fight. But one more, guys. I'll give you guys some free picks really, really quickly here. CES is on Saturday as well. We have John Gotti, the third. He's fighting a 10-10 40-year-old. Showcase fight. They're telling you who they want to win. Don't complicate that one. Tyreme Da Silva, the guy he's fighting is not very good. He's solid enough where he should win that fight. Nate Garib, CS swings from his nuts, so that should be an easy win for you guys as well. And then Ryan Pompey, he's fighting a guy who's 0-7 between amateur and pro. So
really, so he's solid repertoire, solid resume.
Yeah, all first round losses.
Interesting. Gosh, you gotta love those mismatches. All right, so there you guys have it. Some free picks. I know a lot of you guys were asking for some other picks of other cards. CES, Brave, LFA, Bellator. So you guys can, take a look, but don't take our word for it. Some of you guys are like, oh, you pick so-and-so. Well, yeah, we're not perfect. Like, we're giving you our picks. Do your own research.
I'm not the one fighting. Yeah.
He's not fighting, and he's not betting your money. He's telling you where he's betting his money. I've done I haven't done any research on any of these other fight cards. I've just been so busy with fights and everything coming up, the business and other stuff. So yeah, take Brandon's word for it. I will. But now let's get into these UFC fights, because this is a fun card. I don't even know. I'm sure I will end up betting on this card, but I almost don't even want to, because I just want to watch these fights. Like, this is a card almost top to bottom. How many fights are on this card? They've been having more fights. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 again. So there's 14 fights. We've been having 14, more fights. Usually it's 10 to 12 fights on a card. I don't know if it's COVID or what. But even let's go down the list here. Let me see. Like, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth fight down. So that's probably close to the opener prelim, or not the opener prelim. Sorry, the main card opener is Frankie Edgar and Marlon Vera. That could be a fight night main event. Like,
well, 5 years ago, maybe.
Even right now, fight nights. They've had like Aspen Ladd.
Aspen Ladd
yeah. Is main eventing, but you can't have Frankie Edgar, Marlon Vera. Like, come on. You got Al Iaquinta and Bobby Green buried in the prelims. That's another like, co-main type of situation. You got Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. I mean, I would watch that 4 weekends in a row. I mean, whether it's like main event, co-main event, doesn't really matter. I'm in. This is just a good night of fights. Like I said, I don't know where my money's going yet, but let's talk some of these fights.
Where are we starting, top or bottom?
Man, we're starting at the top today. We're starting at the top.
All right.
And then we'll put show notes so people can look at the other fights and stuff as well. I mean, is there somebody who is as dominant as Kamaru Usman, all right, in our sport right now? He's so dominant and as equally as unlikable as he is dominant.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But you know what? I think the more dominant he gets, the more likable he's becoming. He's stopping to have to use the gimmick and the I'm a problem and just be good. He's just being so great that people are starting to like him, including myself. I've come to really just enjoy his work ethic and how good he's getting.
Love his work ethic. Love watching him fight. Listening to him during interviews, I'm like, oh my gosh, just please cut the tough guy like attitude. Like, dude, you're world champion.
He is the toughest guy.
I know he's the toughest guy, but you don't need to act like he just has this chip on his shoulder. He just comes off. I'm sure as a human in real life, he's probably super likable. Just the persona we see in interviews, he doesn't come off as very likable. He comes off as if he's being disrespected by everybody all the time, and it's like, I don't think anybody's disrespecting him. I think he's probably the favorite in all of his fights. People assume he's going to murder people. I mean, he's being disrespected by his opponents, but that's Colby Covington and George Masvidal. Have you ever heard them say nice things about the people they're about to fight? I mean, it's Usman is so dominant. I don't know. He's just his interviews. I could deal without the interviews. Let me just watch him fight. Deal without the interviews. On the other side of that, you got Colby Covington, who is equally as unlikable with the shtick that he puts on, but it's entertaining. But it's so annoying. It's so overplayed. It's so just kind of ridiculous off the wall, but it's kind of funny. And it's WWE bad guy shtick. And yeah, I think he's kind of dumb, but it's a little bit more entertaining.
Well, the greatest thing about Colby, he's the ultimate troll, but he doubles down. Whenever you think he should back it up, he doubles down, and that's my favorite part about him is he just goes all for it.
Yeah,
you got to respect somebody like that.
He loves to ruffle feathers, man, and but the dude can fight as well. I think the thing with this fight is, let's go on Colby. First of all, Colby Covington. I mean, he's almost the size of a 55-pounder. I mean, like, you get some of these big 55ers and they're Colby's size. Colby is not very big. We saw him against Usman, and he looked a weight class below him. Then we saw him against Woodley, and he looked a weight class below him. And I was watching tape on this earlier, and I'm looking at his like frame. I'm like, he's about the same height as Woodley. And then I'm looking at his like shoulders and his upper body, and Woodley is just twice as big. So I'm like, okay, well then he's got to have huge legs compared to Woodley. No. His legs are half Woodley's size. So I'm like, how is this guy competing against these big 170 pounders? And it doesn't really phase him. It doesn't seem like he gets tired. It doesn't really, I mean, he's got the strength, he's got the cardio, and he pushes through against these big guys. And Usman is a big 170 pounder who is physical. He's probably the biggest, most physical 70 pounder out there. I don't know that that's really going to matter too much. Of course, in the later rounds, anything can happen. But, I think it's amazing that he's able to handle these bigger guys as well as he does. Do you think size is going to play a factor in this one?
I'm not sure because the first fight was so much of just a striking affair. I mean, it wasn't like they were in a ton of grappling exchanges and doing stuff where size really mattered. It was a lot of striking. So I don't think it's going to play a huge role. And if Colby's good with it, I mean, if anything, it works to his advantage, especially in a fight like that where it's going to be a lot of cardio. Maybe that's a good thing for him.
Yeah, I think the size matter that is going to play a difference is the reach. We saw that in the first fight. Usman's jab, that was his most dangerous weapon, and he fights very long. He fights, not like a karate guy, but almost like a very long point karate kickboxer-ish. It's hard to kind of explain because, but he does not throw short, flurry punches, very long jab, very long punches. Generally works really well for him. However, he does not mix it up when Colby gets on the inside. When people get in the inside, he still fights long, and he'll end up getting hit with these flurry of punches that we see because he doesn't adjust and he doesn't clinch either. Usman is very comfortable on the outside when he's able to throw ones and twos and at his range, at his balance, on his terms. You crowd him in there, and he doesn't like it, and he doesn't fare as well with those crowding type of punches.
Yeah, and that's the concern. When Burns rocked him, I think we all were like, "Oh, this could happen to him," and that's still a very real possibility. So I guess the big question, the line is -300 for Usman. Do you think that's a fair line given how dominant he's been, or is that reflective of exactly what we're talking about, being uncomfortable on the inside, how close the first fight was, and maybe a chin?
Man, I don't know. The thing that the biggest question is, for me anyway, is can Covington actually hurt Usman? I don't know that he has the power to. I mean, he flurries, he's got the volume, he does it, but then Usman just needs a shot to hurt Covington, and we've seen that he can hurt Covington in the past. He broke his jaw. Covington said I was a BS stoppage and this and that. And I thought, it's funny, I was watching the fight again today, and the commentators, I think it was in round 3, were like, oh, Covington's got to adjust and this and that to win this fight. And they're making it seem like he was just getting blown out of the water. I thought he won round 1. I thought round 2 was pretty close, and he might have won it on volume as well. Usman did well in round 3, and of course we saw, at the end of the fight and everything. But I thought it was a very close fight. I remember when I was originally watching the fight, that broken jaw, when it happened, I thought, man, that might have saved Usman. Now watching it back, I don't think so. I thought Usman was a little bit more dominant, but I think it was kind of anybody's fight leading up to that point, up until the stoppage. I love Colby's rhythm. I love his volume. His head is always off center. He's throwing flurries. He throws that left overhand. He throws it over the top. He kind of cuts it short. He mixes that left hand up quite a bit, but he also ducks his head, which we saw Usman adjust on, and he started throwing that right uppercut to the head and that right uppercut to the body. And those body shots started to hurt Usman a little bit, or not Usman, I'm sorry, Covington. And I think with Whitman, who's a little bit more boxing based than Henry Hooft, his old coach, who's a little bit more Dutch based, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit more of that body work coming from Usman early. How do you see the striking battle playing out?
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. Colby's southpaw, right?
Yes, he is.
I mean, you got Kamaru Usman, who's got the best jab and the best two in the game, and we know that the two is the most effective punch. So I think you're exactly right. The body work, the twos coming down, just the length, the size. Honestly, just the striking, I think, is Kamaru's. If you watch how Kamaru navigated Leon Edwards striking, who I think is honestly, I think he's a better striker than Colby is, and he's a southpaw and he's phenomenal. The way he navigated that was amazing. I think Kamaru's only getting better over time, like you said with Whitman. Who do you like in this fight?
I think I like Usman. The thing that Usman does well, and he's done it in his last 2 fights, watch the finishing setup to both Gilbert Burns and Masvidal. And he throws 1-2s, okay? Just nice long 1-2s down the middle. And it gets people to frame out a little bit, and they start reaching. And then he turns that 1-2 into a hook cross, okay? Just like a slapping hook. It's not like almost looks like a jab. If you were to just kind of watch it in passing, you'd actually think it was a jab. But he throws his left hand out there like a jab. But right at the end, he kind of almost like cups his opponent's wrist or slaps it. And then he fires the right hand down the middle. And that's what dropped Burns, and that's what dropped Masvidal. Put them both out. It's 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Keeps it going. And then that 3-2 just right down the middle. I think it's going to play out very similarly to the last fight. I think early the volume of Colby is going to be hard for Usman to deal with. I think the adjustments, and I think when Colby is close and Colby is moving forward and Colby is throwing flurries and punches and bunches, he's going to land on Usman. I just don't know that he can hurt Usman. I don't know that's. We haven't really seen Colby hurt a lot of people early with power. I mean, he does it with volume. He wears them out. But look at even the Tyron Woodley fight. He finished him in the last round. Right off the bat, he blast doubles Tyron. He looks phenomenal. We're really impressed with that. And then we see that Tyron Woodley is a shell of himself. He goes out there and gets just starched by Vicente Luque after that. You know, he loses in a boxing fight against Jake Paul or one of the damn Paul brothers. I can't tell them apart. But, you know what I mean? So looking back on that, I'm not that impressed with that Tyron Woodley win, especially that it took him that long to do it. If it takes you that long to beat up a Tyron Woodley who's not even fighting anymore, he just shows up in the ring and just is waiting, looking around for the paycheck. He's wondering, do I get paid in between rounds or after? Like, what do I do? And I just think Usman is going to be there. I don't think he's going to be put away. And you give that guy 5 rounds to find your chin, and he's going to find your chin. But he doesn't just have a puncher's chance. He's legitimately really good. But he has the power as well. And I don't know that Colby can hurt him. I've got Usman winning this. I think it's actually, you know, it's definitely not early fight. I think it goes over 2.5, might even go the distance. I don't know if I call it the distance, but I would definitely pull it over 2.5 on this one. And Usman keeps his title. And he's just getting better and better and better. If you watch him since he's been with Whitman, he's got a little bit better range. He doesn't let people crowd him as much, and he sits down on his punches just a little bit more. And we're starting to see him put people away. He put Gilbert Burns away, and he put Masvidal away since he moved to training in Denver with Trevor Whitman.
Yeah, I think you're dead on. Usman takes this one.
Now,
all right, we got next up.
We've got Rose Namajunas and Weili Zhang. Now, I'm not going to say a lot here because, you know, as a lot of you know, Weili has been training at Fight Ready with our team for this fight. So I'm not going to say much. You know, I wasn't really involved too much with the camp, you know, a little bit here and there. Still, the only thing that I would really want to, you know, talk too much about this is if we look at the last tape, you know, look at the tape. Each of their last fight was each other. So what type of adjustments need to occur if we're just looking at the tape? Because we talked about this a little bit off line. It's what if Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo didn't end in 15 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever it was? What if he didn't land that one punch and they fought? What type of a fight would it have been? Would Conor still have beat him? Would Jose Aldo have won? How does that fight play out? And that's the thing with the Weili Zhang, Rose Namajunas. If that kick didn't catch her in that first 90 seconds, how would that fight have played out? And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. I'm going to ask you questions on this one. I'm going to kind of stay silent a little bit and get your thoughts on Rose and Weili.
Yeah, that's okay. I was actually at the very first fight in Jacksonville, Florida. My guy UFC Shark had me come out. It was such a phenomenal experience. The energy in the arena was just incredible. Rose Weili. You know, Rose is just such a technician. She is such a technician. And you look in that fight, it wasn't a knockout where she just closed her eyes and, you know, threw one out there and clipped her. It was a technical knockout. It was something that she saw on film. It was something that she did. And you look at how she's fought a lot of these people, right? She's got a win over Andrade. She's got, 2 wins over Joanna, Michelle Watterson, Tisha Torres, Paige Van Zandt, Angela Hill. So we see how these wins are aging. They're like fine wine. They're just getting better with time.
The 2 fights over Joanna are very impressive to me on a Rose side. She knocked her out, and then she beat her by decision afterwards in kind of a clinic of a decision.
And Joanna, who we hold to a supreme standard. And on the flip side, you look at Weili's fight with Joanna. That was a very close fight. I actually thought Joanna won that fight. Now, styles make fights. Everybody's different. And it's a lot easier to make the parallel from Weili fighting Joanna, because Joanna is very similar to Rose as opposed to Rose fighting Joanna back down to Weili. It's very different. When I first taped the fight, when the first one was going, I said that Weili just got such a gas tank, good fight IQ, and she's just such a supreme athlete that she's going to win. The second time around, we're going to see some different things. Man, what a great fight. What an interesting one. I like Rose from a technicality standpoint here.
Does it bother you that Rose fades in the third round? We've seen her, 12 minutes, 13 minutes in, she fades. We saw it with the second Andrade fight. Andrade clipped her, dropped her, rocked her, won that third round. I think if there was another round, if that was a 5-round fight, I think Andrade would have won that. On the first 2 rounds, man, she is as technical as they come. That third round, she faded and got sloppy and got clipped. Does that bother you in this?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's always got to be that's one of the technicals that I look for when making a bet or just seeing who's going to win a fight is cardio, right? And so if they fade in the 12th minute, 13th minute, that's definitely a concern, especially against somebody like Weili who can go for days, never gets tired, right? I'm not sure with Rose. I think it's a lot less her getting tired, more so just her losing focus. I think for this title fight, she's going to be dialed in. I think she's going to be ready to rock, and we're going to get a phenomenal fight between the 2 best in the world.
Do you think the crowd plays anything on this? We know we heard before that Weili was really. She said that she was really freaked out about the crowd booing her, and in that it threw her off.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I was there. That was an intense atmosphere. Whenever somebody who was not from the United States was fighting, man, that was an intense atmosphere. But what do you think New York's going to do? That's not going to be any different.
No,
that might be even worse than Jacksonville.
Yep, I think you're right. I think
you're from New York.
It's hostile territory. There's going to be some hostile territory in there. Okay, so who do you got? So you got Rose winning?
I think I'll take Rose.
Okay. I'm sitting this one out. Like I said, of course I don't really bet or talk about fights. Of course I would be. Could you imagine I'm training somebody over here and then I just give the whole game plan, the whole everything away. Like, oh man, so-and-so did great. This is what they're doing in camp. They're going to, cartwheel into an axe kick.
We need a few more views before we start giving away that kind of stuff. Maybe we'll hold it for a special occasion.
Exactly. Okay, so that's what you guys are getting on Rose. You're not getting anything from me out of Weili. I wish her nothing but the best. She had a phenomenal camp. And she's just a phenomenal human. Her whole camp is. So, Rose and Weili, hats off to you. Hopefully we bring another title back to Fight Ready. All right, now forget about all this America versus the world. We got Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. This is going to be a better version. You guys always hear me reference Brad Riddell, Jamie Mullarkey. If you haven't seen that fight, just go look it up. It was a slobber knocker. It is one of my favorite fights ever. And these 2 people just wouldn't die. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is the main event. Right? And actually, look at what we've been talking about, Brad Riddell. I think that was his first fight in the UFC on home soil in Australia. And he has since gone on to beat quite a few people and is really on his way up the ladder. Jamie Mullarkey's doing well. He just knocked out, was it Devontae Smith?
Devontae Smith. Yeah.
So he's doing well. This is going to be, I think, the more technical version of that. Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler. Let's go and look at the record really quickly because Justin Gaethje is 22-3. Okay. Age, I don't think is too much of a factor. We'll see. So Gaethje's last fight, of course, we know was the pure retardation of fighting Khabib like that. Not that it was dumb to fight him. Of course, he's going to fight him for the title. Just the way he fought him. I don't know. That was just a bad performance. It was a bad showing.
Oh, did you think so?
So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought it was he was tired after 3 minutes, huffing and puffing. Then he's like shooting, and just like, oh my God. I thought he just like threw everything he had.
When was the last time you watched that fight?
It's been a while.
Okay, I just take. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the first round, he looked great. Don't get me wrong. but he swung so hard and heavy. I think he was, in his mind, I think he thought, I need to put him away or I can't win. And he threw so hard and heavy at him early that I think adrenaline got to him. I think what happened to him is what happened to Aljamain Sterling against Peter Yan. I think he threw so much at him and tried to get him out of there so hard. And then when he was still standing there, he kind of panicked and just crumbled. And I think that's what happened with Khabib.
My read on the fight was a lot different. That fight reminded me of like a high school wrestling room. When you're a freshman in high school and the seniors take you and you throw you against the wall and just keep beating you up until you're forced to fight or cry and run away. That's what that fight was. Khabib pressed him from the very beginning of the fight, was in his face the entire time. And I think that was the senior throwing Justin Gaethje into the wall and saying, okay, what are you going to do now? Because Khabib didn't shoot on him. He just pressed him. And that kind of style to put on somebody is crazy taxing when you're used to resetting, throwing your beautiful combinations, being in and out, and now somebody's pressing you and you can't even get your feet set to throw a combination. It's tiring. That's an exhausting style that Khabib was putting on him. So when I think you're saying he was throwing everything out, he had to get some respect. And if you look at the first 3 minutes of the round, was very different than the last 2 minutes of the round when he finally connected with some overhands. He was landing leg kicks. Khabib started to bring the pressure off. And it was a much different first half than it was a second half. So I totally know what you mean. And he was dog tired. But I think if Khabib does that to anybody in the world, they're going to be dog tired. Second round, Khabib shot in for a takedown. And he did what those beautiful Dagestanis do, where they don't just try to blast W and take you down. He shot, sat right out to the back, and came out on top. It was beautiful. That was a textbook performance.
Yeah. The Dagestani wrestling is, we always thought it was bad at first. We always thought, oh man, these guys have such bad shots because they shoot from.
They are bad shots.
They shoot from really far away. They shoot really low. And then what they do is they kind of swing around and come up to the back. Whereas you're defending a low shot pushing on the head, they're swimming around to your back and you end up giving it to them, which is textbook. And it's not what we expect as American wrestlers. You expect to whizzer, you expect to shove that head down, and you do not expect somebody to swing around to your back. That I get. So I get that. But again, we've got Trevor Whitman in the corner. Okay. So man, Whitman's got a lot. He's got 3 fighters back to back to back. He's got 2 title fights and
busy night.
Yeah. He's not going 3-0. Just statistically, he's not going 3-0. Like it's not going to happen. Now who's the loser there? Is it Rose? Is it Gaethje? Is it Usman? That's the tough one. Now, that said, I thought they would have. I thought they would have put together a little bit of a different and game plan, whatever. We know Mike Tyson. Everybody has a game plan until they get punched. We get it, but we know Khabib is going to be in your face and going. And I was just shocked as could be that was the outcome of, not the outcome, but that was the first couple of minutes of that fight. So, but we spent a lot of time.
But what was the alternative? What else was, sorry, we are diving a little bit on that, but what is his alternative? I mean, he's not going to shoot on Khabib, right? He can't not run. He can meet him in the middle and crash, which is what he tried to do, and he was never able to get his feet settled.
He was, but he was just swinging everything. Everything was 100% from the hip, almost turning him around. And you fight somebody like Khabib and you do that and you don't put him away in 3 minutes, you are done. And that's what happened, is he was done. And so, yeah, you've got to expect somebody to crowd you like that. He's Khabib. He's going to Khabib you. He's going to be in your face and go. And if you're going to swing like that, you better have the conditioning to do it for 25 minutes, or you better have another option. And I don't know if that's a jab. I don't know if that's shooting on Khabib. I don't know if that's crashing. That's not, I'd have to look at tape with Gaethje and that to see like what would a game plan be to beat Khabib. What it isn't though is panicking and just swinging for the fences and expecting you to come out with a belt against Khabib like that. I was shocked that was how he actually fought. I mean, he just bit down on his mouthpiece and just swung for the fences and was just hoping that when he looked up, he'd be like, oh, there's a belt around my waist.
Yeah, I think you're so how does he fare with Michael Chandler then? So Michael Chandler is very much a pressing forward kind of guy too. So how do we think this fight plays out?
Well, that one's interesting to me because if you look at his other losses, the Khabib loss is one, but you go down, okay, he beat Tony Ferguson, he beat Donald Cerrone. Both of those guys, I think, they're shells
As
of
we look
himself.
back,
Yeah, as
yeah.
we look back. He beat Edson Barbosa, and Barbosa had him hurt. And then he beat James Vick, but then we get to two losses in a row. Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez, who are good boxers, who can wrestle, who will stand in the pocket and throw, kind of like a man named Michael Chandler. And so you look at that and you're like, okay, he's 22-3. Two of his three losses are to people that on paper, stylistically, are very, very, very close to Michael Chandler. Then if we take a look at Michael Chandler, he's 22-6. Okay. He lost to Oliveira, and man, I don't know if he looked bad or Oliveira looked great in that fight. But it definitely didn't look like the best Chandler, and maybe that was because Oliveira looked really good and just looked great. But he looked great against Dan Hooker, Benson Henderson. In Bellator, he knocked him out fast. I mean, looked phenomenal. But Benson's not the UFC champ that he was either. He's older. It's not the same version.
Is this going to be a hot take right now? That the win over Sydney Outlaw, Brent Primus, who else we got on here? Goiti Yamaguchi are maybe better wins than Cowboy Cerrone and Tony Ferguson?
Right. Well, that's what I'm wondering. Because it sounds stupid to say it, but Tony's last fight looked horrible. And Colby Cerrone, I think he's just done. I think he needs to hang him up. And,
on the flip side, you look at 29-year-old Sydney Outlaw, who looks like he can't be beat right now, can wrestle his ass off. He's knocking dudes out. I mean, he's phenomenal.
Yep.
And you look at Brent Primus, who just put on a clinic.
Yeah, a grappling clinic. But then you've got the one that stands out is Brent. He lost to Brent Primus by leg kick. His leg went noodly, and who freaking throws more leg kicks than anybody on the planet? And that's Justin Gaethje. So you've got somebody in Chandler who mirrors basically Poirier and Eddie Alvarez, and then you've got somebody who loves to throw low kicks with Michael Chandler. Do you think the moment of the UFC title shot against Oliveira got too big for Chandler?
I don't think so. I think that I have been the number one Charles Oliveira fan since I started jiu-jitsu 10 years ago. That guy was my favorite guy
when
in
he
the
was
UFC,
like 0-4 in the UFC.
The guy's amazing, though. I mean, he's always been amazing. I think Charles Oliveira weathered the storm in that fight. I don't think it was too big of a moment. I mean, Chandler's been there, done that. He's fought everybody. He's past the point of bright lights, I think. He knocked out Hooker in his first fight.
Yeah.
That's a crazy win. That's a crazy win right off the bat. I just think that Charles Oliveira was the better man that night. So much taller. He's strong. He's technical. And he weathered an early storm,
Who do you got? Who's winning this one?
Man, I could not get any money on this fight. I couldn't do it with anything in me. I couldn't pick a winner with my money. My brain is telling me that Michael Chandler is going to win. My heart really wants Justin Gaethje. I love Gaethje. I love his fighting style. His leg kicks are so technical and beautiful. I just think that Michael Chandler is just too athletic, too dynamic, and too many ways to win, especially over Gaethje, who's shown issues with his chin in the past.
I'm with you 100% on all of those things. I won't touch it with money. I think if you were gun to my head, I think Chandler wins it. Man, I freaking love Gaethje, and I would love to see him win this fight. But I think the difference in the fight is honestly the chin. Is that chin? We've seen Gaethje hit a lot, and man, he gets clipped. Even when he wins, he gets clipped. I think Chandler is going to come out the victor, and I do not think this fight goes the distance.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. I don't like the props, but I think that's a safe assumption.
Right. Honestly though, man, this is going to be one of the most fun fights we've seen in a long time. Okay, so just a quick recap. We got Usman, you have Usman, I have Usman, you have Rose Namajunas, and we both have Michael Chandler winning this. Now, moving down, we've got Shane Burgos and Billy Quarantillo. And for those of you who don't know Shane Burgos, one, shame on you. But I mean, he is just, his fighting style might be one of my favorite. Gosh, I don't want to call him a no-name fighter, but not a big name fighter. In your face, swinging heavy heat. His fight with Josh Emmett. Oh my gosh, like those two guys.
Oh,
I think they had a pact with the devil, and they said we need to kill each other. Like if one of us dies, like the other gets to live, and if one of us doesn't die, then we both die. Like I don't know what they did, but man, that was one of the most fun fights I've seen in a long time. And then he fought Edson Barbosa, and that was a really good
and
fight.
the devil came to collect.
The devil came to collect. And the weirdest knockout I think any of us have probably ever seen in our lives. He got hit. I think it was a straight right. And then about 30 seconds later, 20 seconds later, just starts stumbling back, falling down and going down. Then on the other side of that, you've got Billy Quarantillo, who has a common opponent with us, is our boy Kamuela Kirk. And Quarantillo is tough. He is good. He's a decent striker. He actually has really good body work. His striking is not bad. I would even say it's good. His striking is good. He has good striking. He has good volume, and he is a cardio machine. He has really good body work. What he doesn't have is great wrestling, and he does not have great power. I'm not sure that we've never seen Burgos gas. We've never seen him have really a cardio issue or anything.
He's honestly impressive with his gas tank.
Yes, he's huge. He is a big 45er. His back is the size of a bridge. He looks like a Ninja Turtle or something. I mean, he just has this shell of a back on him. And he has power for days. I don't think the volume. I think we're going to see is Gavin Tucker. Gavin Tucker kind of just sunned Billy Quarantillo. He was like, nope, I'm not worried about your cardio. I'm going to bully you, and I'm going to do it at my pace for 15 minutes. And I believe that's Quarantillo's only loss right there. I think Shane Burgos wins this. I don't know if he finishes Billy Q, because Billy Q is really hard to finish, though he has been finished before by TKO and knockouts. So it wouldn't surprise me. I think it's a big step up for Billy, and I don't think he's going to come out the victor on that one. Although I want him to. Anybody that fights our guys, I want to see him win. We say this all the time. I don't see him winning this weekend.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm with you. I called Billy Q in an upset in his last fight against Benitez. I said that fight is made for him when he won't disappear after one round and he just starts suffocating Benitez. He's going to win that fight.
Yep.
And on the flip side, the last two Burgos fights, I said this is the worst possible matchup for Burgos. Guys that have insanely good striking, good cardio, big power, that are just going to test his chin. Those are horrible matchups for him. Now you've got a guy who doesn't have crazy power, doesn't have crazy wrestling. This fight is tailor-made for Shane Burgos. He's not going to tire out. He's not going to gas. The one scary thing I guess you'd have to think of is like, hey, is his chin finally done? But I don't think Billy Q's the one to be able to test it. And I think this fight picture, this was made for Shane Burgos to shine here.
Yeah, I think so. I think we see a fight of the night on this one, if not a performance of the night by a solid knockout TKO, something like that from Burgos.
Now the big one. Where do we go with this one? Frankie Edgar versus Marlon Vera.
Man, Frankie looked good against Pedro Munoz. He looked like he got a little resurgence. But then he fought Sandhagen after. Oh, I'm wrong, man. I was thinking about Pedro Munoz, and I was like, man, he looked phenomenal, and I forgot that he died against Corey Sandhagen.
Have you already seen the odds in this fight?
No. What are the odds?
If you had to guess, what would you think? Who's the favorite, and what do you think the odds would be if you had to guess?
I would say Marlon's the favorite at minus 200.
Wow, you're pretty close, and I was actually shocked. So he's the favorite, minus 175. Now, Frankie
Okay.
Edgar is 40 years old. Marlon is what, 28, 29?
He is young.
28 years old. How in the world is a 40-year-old Frankie Edgar almost, like a pretty close line with a guy who's 28 years old in the prime of his life, has amazing wins, been in the UFC forever, trains at a good gym? How is the line that close?
Man, are they wrestling? I mean, are we talking wrestling here? Do they
I
think?
think that's what the line is indicating.
I think they think Marlon is just going to get taken down. But if you look at the guys who Frankie is losing to, okay, let's look, and he's lost a lot lately. Corey Sandhagen just fought for a title. Korean Zombie. I mean, he's a big 145er with some power. A decision to Max Holloway. And then to Brian Ortega. I mean, those are all guys who are huge title contention 135ers. He beat Cub Swanson, but that was in 2018. But honestly, his fight against Pedro Munoz, I was really, really, really impressed with Frankie. Now, do you think the Muay Thai of Marlon can he find an elbow or a knee on Frankie, or is Frankie just going to wrestle him?
I think that's what the line is indicating here. So, guys, if you're trying to look at a trick line, this is the one. This is a trick line.
And you talk about
Because
this all
on
the
paper,
time.
yeah. And how many times have we been right? Even tonight on Contender Series, I got killed with Burlinson. That's a whole separate thing. But I'm looking at these lines going, this is not right. This is not right. These Chinese fighters versus this Brazilian, this is not right line. So this line to me looks like a trick line. You got a guy in the prime of his life, and I think Marlon Vera is very good. He does most things right. Occasionally, he thinks his jiu-jitsu is a little bit better than it is off his back, and he'll tend to stay there. And I think this line is indicative of that. They think that Frankie Edgar is going to take him down, grind him out, and he can start banking some rounds. Let's see. Does Marlon have knockouts? He got the, let's see, lost to Aldo, who took him down.
Yeah, who out wrestled him easily.
Sean O'Malley, which was the weird one.
The weird one, yep.
He should have beat Song Yadong. That was a bad decision. Ground and pound Ewell, Nolan Hernandez, a choke. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he has that one punch power.
He doesn't really. He wears people out, and then he's tough. He's as tough as they get. He wears you out, and then you make a mistake, and he's there to capitalize. I think if Frankie, the big question mark here is Frankie's chin. Can it hold up? I think it.
And if it holds up, it's a pick'em fight, is it not?
Yeah, honestly, it really is. I think it holds up, and I think he gets a win. This is not his swan song, and I don't think he's getting knocked out. If he does lose, it's a decision. If you want to play risky with some money, throw it down on Frankie.
Wow, yeah, that's a crazy one. I mean, my fundamentals say you always got to pick the 28-year-old over the 40-year-old. That's what my fundamentals say, but the lines are telling me otherwise. The lines are telling me that Frankie Edgar is going to win this one, and I don't like it. I'm not going to probably touch it, not with any serious money, just fun money.
Okay, interesting. Last one that I want to talk about, and I think it's another fun fight, is Al Iaquinta and Bobby Green. I love this fight. I think it's fun. I think we've seen this fight play out with pretty much every Bobby Green fight, have we not?
This is yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is everybody trying to get in Bobby Green's face, deal with the funkiness, take him down, and see if they can grind Bobby Green out. First of all, who won, Fiziev or Bobby Green? I mean, I know
Fiziev,
who won.
Of course, I had money on him.
I know who won. I had money on Fiziev too. Before they announced the decision, were you getting a little sweaty palms?
I get sweaty palms on every decision, even if I know they won, because I've seen crazy things happen.
Okay, well, I had money on Fiziev, and I'm going at the end of that fight. I think Bobby Green is probably going to get this fight. It really close. Fiziev is as tough as they come, man. And then Bobby Green is no spring chicken. He's 36. I think he's 36 or 37. I'm going to check really quickly, because again, that's generally a big sign of fall off. We know, especially in the lighter
He's
weights.
35, Al's 34.
Okay, so he's 35. He has been busy. Okay, so let's look at Iaquinta's last fight was Dan Hooker. Okay, that was in Australia, October 5th, 2019. Okay, let's see the closest. Bobby Green fought Francisco Trinaldo in November of 2019. Okay, so pretty close, a month apart. Since then, Bobby Green fought Clay Guida, Lando Venata, Alan Patrick, Thiago Moises, Rafael Fiziev. He has 5 fights in that time. Al Iaquinta, I mean, the other thing that worries me about Al Iaquinta, okay, so of course he's been very inactive, but New York, for as great of a place as it is, like COVID and gyms, like they have had a lot of time off of stuff, and you see a lot of people in their garages, and even if they're back in gyms now, for a long time they weren't. There's a lot of inactivity. We know Al Iaquinta is a full-time realtor. We know that he's doing other stuff. Does that play in a factor here? I think it does.
That was just going to be my main. That was just going to be my main point. Was that Al's a realtor, and what's been hotter than the housing market right now? You think while the UFC was shut down for a little bit, gyms were shut down, the world's going crazy with COVID, that Al's not out there hustling houses and making 10 times the money he made in the UFC selling houses? You're kidding. You're kidding.
Yeah.
This fight is an afterthought for him. And I don't know if you saw the whole madness with it, but this fight was actually forced upon him. UFC announced this fight before he signed the contract or even heard about the fight. They just said, "Oh, Al's fighting Bobby Green." Yeah.
Yeah.
And now here it is.
Here we are. I think stylistically it's a hard fight for Al. Al is as tough as they come. He's not the most fluid fighter. He's a little stiff. Bobby Green, his rhythm, man, is some of the best rhythm in the game. I mean, he reminds me of like Sergio Martinez boxing, just fluid, hands down, head movement for days, rolling punches, as creative as they come, always has good cardio. The thing with Bobby Green is sometimes I think he forgets that winning is more important than just fighting. And I think sometimes he takes off the gas. He rolls his punches a little bit too much. He kind of lets people take over. He'll sit on the cage a little bit. He'll let the takedown occur and like, oh, I'm good here. And we see that a lot with older guys. He's fought a ton. He doesn't have that hunger. I think hunger not being an issue, and he just makes a couple smarter decisions. I think he wins a decision on this fight. And then I'm kind of curious to see what happens with Al Iaquinta in the future.
Yeah, I think Al's probably almost done here. I like Bobby in this fight too. He's so much longer. To even stand on the feet with Fiziev and not do anything else is just incredibly impressive to me.
And to win a lot of the exchanges.
Unbelievable. And let me say that Al Iaquinta is no Rafael Fiziev. He's not him. I was thinking, man, but what if the wrestling happens? I think Bobby Green is too much of a veteran to let that kind of stuff happen. He's going to stand up. He's going to find a way to the top. He's going to make it ugly. He's going to make it a striking affair. He's almost got that Ryan Hall effect. How do you fight a guy like Bobby Green? It's not your normal. It's not your conventional. It's not your 1-2s. It is so awkward and so hard to deal with. That style is only one you find with him. So I like Bobby Green here. Honestly, probably pretty convincingly.
I think so. I think it goes to a decision, but I don't think it's a. I don't think our palms are sweating much. But that said, I wouldn't count. Al is a tough son of a bitch.
Al's solid,
and he is as tough as they come. The most impressive thing I've seen him do fighting wise. I remember when he just cleaned Kevin Lee up. I was shocked the way that he did it. Not even that he won the fight, but just that he did it in such a dominant way, just with that jab, just jabbed him to death, and then just started putting the heat on him, especially later as the fight went on. Are there any other fights on the card that you like that you want to talk about? Because that's all I mean, those fights right there, I'm out after that.
You chose high profile fights. I'm choosing some of the best betting fights.
Okay, give us your bets.
Okay, so we can touch on these really quickly, guys. I gave you guys my best Bellator bets. You guys want the best ones? Put a combo with Edwards and Gokhan, whatever, Sarakam. Okay, that's your parlay. It's not crazy odds. Doesn't matter. It's going to win. Okay. Then we're going to go to UFC. So first one I like here is Alex Pereira versus Andres Micheladas. Pereira is the guy who knocked out Izzy. He's a glory kickboxer, Brazilian, big guy. He's a little stiff for my liking, but the UFC is putting him in a prime position to win this fight. I told you guys it's very rare when the UFC is telling you who they want to win. There's 2 of those spots on this card, so you guys need to make sure you get it, okay? They're putting him against Andres, who only strikes in his fights. He does not shoot takedowns. He's not a wrestler. He does not stand like a wrestler. He stands with all of his weight on his back foot so he can check kicks. So in order for him to wrestle, it's going to be so telegraphed and so easy to spot. Alex Pereira, this is the easy spot for him. He's going to be in a kickboxing fight in the UFC. So there you go. World champion kickboxer. Go ahead and take that one. Fight that's going to be fun to watch, Phil Hawes, Chris Curtis. Can't wait to see that one scheduled for a second time. I like Chris Curtis. I hope Chris Curtis wins, but very tough fight. Okay, next fight I want to highlight is Ian Gary versus Jordan Williams. Santino, have you seen Ian Gary fight?
I have not.
He is going to take the place of Choi on the list.
Interesting.
He is a
wait.
Yeah, he's a
Choi or Mason, because he's a UK guy. Well, Ireland.
Yeah, I gotta get these Asians out of here. They keep losing fights. Choi's out. I'm just kidding. So we got Ian Gary, guys. He's a Cage Warriors champion. He's 6'3" at 170 pounds. He's got slick boxing. His jiu-jitsu is solid as it comes. He just moved over full-time to Sanford MMA. His wrestling looks good. He's really got no weaknesses. He's fighting Jordan Williams, who's supposed to be a wrestler, not phenomenal. He's got cardio issues at 185 pounds. Now he's at 170, where he just got choked out by Mickey Gall. So everything in this fight lines up for Ian Gary. He just went 5-minute rounds with a guy who's really, really tough. This is an easy win. They're telling you who they want to win. Don't mess this one up either. Ian Gary, Alex Pereira. 2-3 more. I'll just touch on these quick. John Vellante versus Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett, big fat guy. Throws big overhands. He's 5'9" at heavyweight. John Vellante, 6'3". He's got a good chin. He's fighting in his hometown. Chris Barnett is exactly what he looks like. He's got 1 round of gas before he turns into a big fat guy and he gets exhausted. I like John Vellante here. I think Chris Barnett's going to find a way out of this fight. If he doesn't get a knockout in the first minute or two, he's going to find a way out. John Vellante is going to win and hopefully be his retirement fight. Let's see. We got Melsik Bagdasaryan versus Bruno Souza. Another common opponent that with our guy Camuela, LFA champion. Do you have any thoughts on Bruno?
You know, he's taking this fight last minute, so it's about a week notice. What I am interested on. Okay, so Bagdasaryan, phenomenal kickboxer, K1, Glory too, right? I believe he's in Glory as well.
I think he's just K1. I'm not sure, but he throws hard.
He throws really hard. I wonder if and Bruno Souza has the least fan-friendly fighting style there is. I mean, he's Machida without the finishes.
He's so dainty.
He just throws the front kick and moves, Key ops a lot while he's doing it. Our guy Camuela, man, like every punch I think Camuela threw landed. Every picture of their fight is either Camuela blocking something or landing a punch on Souza. Somehow the judges robbed him and gave in. It was 2-1 split decision for Souza, which I thought was nuts. That said, he keeps people away well, and what we don't know is how. I mean, we know how to beat Machida. We've seen that before, and that's with leg kicks. He did that with Shogun Hua. It was a very awkward fight. First time around, and then he chopped him down with the leg kicks. Okay, so we know how to beat the karate guy, and that's with the leg kicks. Now, if Souza checks some leg kicks and plays keep away and tag, we generally see wrestlers come in, okay, crowd, get inside, grab, the weird karate guy, throw him down, and they know how to win. If he can't find that low kick, will he be able to close the distance right there? And that'll be the tell on it. That's what I'm interested to see. I haven't seen Bagdasarian fight enough, to see, but I'm curious. I like the idea of a kickboxer versus a karate guy. I think it'll actually be a very boring fight. I do not think it's going to be entertaining, but I'm very curious to see.
You haven't seen Melsik fight. You have not seen Melsik fight.
No, but I'm saying from Bruno's standpoint, from him running.
He's not going to have a choice.
He's
not going to have a choice.
I'm curious. I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to.
This kid Melsik is. Oh, he will be. Melsik is nasty. I will tell you this. Melsik, I don't think he's going to win every fight, right? The way he fights is not sustainable. He gives everything that he has in one round. He's actually been getting better at pacing himself, so he has a round 2. Sometimes he can squeak out a round 3. He burns the candle at both ends, but he's got good fight IQ. He knows how to stand up. He's very strong, but the kid is nasty. He will chase you down and kick you in the face as quickly as he can. He is just nasty. He's not one of these technical kickboxers. He is technical, but he's not one like an Artem Levin who's going to stand on the outside and grab your head and throw a knee. He is going to chase you down and smack you with the heart. He's just throwing Giga kicks 30 times a fight. Like he just, with reckless abandon, he's right in there in your face, and he is nasty.
Which is well and good.
If there was ever...
We are on a pay-per-view, which means we are on the big cage, and you have a big cage. That thing is like the size of Texas, and you have a runner in that cage who knows how to run. I'm not saying he doesn't close the distance and get in there and go. I'm curious to see how well he does it. And I'm not saying that he's going to win or lose. I just want to see how effective is Souza at being boring.
I think his body is so frail, and I think he is so dainty that Melsik is going to brutalize him. I don't want to put a crazy amount of money. That's one that I really just want to enjoy, like you said, stylistic matchup, and maybe to see a little sweet revenge on Bruno Souza for our guy. But Melsik is fun to watch. He's been training with my guy Edwin Najmi, Gracie Baja. He's a fun one to watch. 2 more just really quickly. I like Ode Osbourne. I was never impressed with CJ Vergara. That was actually the worst loss I think I've ever had, was him beating Bruno Correa on Contender Series. I was so obsessed with Bruno Correa, and he just dismantled him, and I was devastated. Now, all that for the very last fight that I want to talk about.
Fight week for the man, the myth, the legend, Dustin Jacoby.
Dustin Jacoby. Let's go. You know what's so funny is I was messaging Dustin a couple days ago, and I said, hey, are you going to get another fight in before the end of the year? He's like, I hope so. The next day, he gets announced a fight against John Allen. Why didn't you tell me? It's like, I just found out today.
Is there any way this goes any other way than Dustin Jacoby?
Yes.
You think so? Okay.
I just want to say that because, I follow kind of like my own strict guidelines. I know exactly what I'm looking for in every single fight. If you would have asked me, like, there's a gun to my mom's head, is Troy losing this fight? I would have said no. Like, there's not a possible way. And then he lost. This guy tonight, the British guy against Johan Lanisi or whatever, if you ask me if he's going to lose the fight, and I'm watching everything and knowing everything that I know, I'm going to tell you absolutely not. Like, there's not a chance ever that he's going to lose this fight. So Dustin does get hit in fights. So I will say that. He is one of my favorite kickboxers. He's got beautiful jabs, beautiful low kicks. He's got great head movement. He knows when to turn it on. I would say best thing about Dustin is his fight IQ. You look at his fight with Kutalaba, who's a Moldovan wrestler who threw around Devin Clark, who's an NCAA wrestler, like he never wrestled a day in his life. And Dustin stood up 30 times on him and arguably came back to win the fight. He's got phenomenal fight IQ. He's got good grappling. He is mean as hell. That being said, he does get hit, just like every fighter does. He does. He gets hit. I don't think John Allen is UFC quality. I don't think he's at the UFC level. I think he got really lucky fighting Roman Dolidze, who is so talented but makes the worst decisions in the entire UFC. God, this couldn't be a better matchup for Dustin Jacoby. I'm so excited to see him shine again. Short notice. My parlay, guys, for you guys asking, is going to be Dustin Jacoby, Ian Gary, and Alex Pereira.
Okay. I like it. I think Jacoby wins this. I think it's like you said, I'm not sure Allen is UFC material. And I think Jacoby walks away with man, if it's not a knockout, it's a dominant mauling.
Dominant.
30-26.
Yeah, I think so too. Dustin's just so good, guys. The way he utilizes range. He's a glory kickboxer. He fought Simon Marcus. If you guys don't know who Simon Marcus is, please go do yourself a favor. Watch a few Simon Marcus fights. They're incredible.
All right. Well, there you have it, you guys. So that's the card. I cannot wait. And this last week's card, all right, we didn't go over that. Let's just touch on that really quickly. The best thing about last week's card for me was that it started at 7:30 a.m. and you could wake up and watch fights. I mean, is there anything better than that? Worst thing about it was Jan Blachowicz. Like, what in the hell happened? Like, did he not?
I guess we should have seen that coming.
We did say that Jan kind of backs up and gets shifty with his feet, and that's Glover will shoot off of that and going. But has Jan ever watched a Glover fight? Does he know what Glover is going to try and do? And
God, Jan is just so slow. I could not get that out of my mind leading up to it. He's just so slow.
What's funny, though, is that his hands are really slow, but he throws those kicks really fast. And it is exactly what we talked about. He would kick, and he throws that short little uppercut really tight, and he caught Glover with that a few times. He's just that jab and then that short little right hand, and then he would just back himself right up to the cage, which I thought was nuts. The other Jan looked phenomenal, Peter Yan, but that one went the way that I thought it would in round one. High guard, Corey Sandhagen going to the body, making Yan miss. When Yan comes in, throwing the knees. I don't know if it was a conditioning thing that just Yan is just the toughest human on the planet. Body shots didn't seem to faze him at all. Power never left him. Cardio never left him. Was always 100%. I wonder if that was that, and we just saw the physical superiority of Yan, or if that spinning back fist with the hook in the 9th minute left in the second round, if that just took everything out of Corey and he wasn't able to recover. That said, I thought it was all Corey up until that 9-minute mark. That spinning back fist and hook hit him, and then it was Yan's. That was Yan's night, and he looked good doing it.
Yeah, I think like I told you, I mean, Yan, people underestimate him. He is literally the Lomachenko. The way he was pulling, the way he was slipping, the way he was countering, everything he does is phenomenal. Even the drill that we work all the time where you get touched and you're throwing immediately off the break. Every time that Corey was touching him in the later rounds, boom, he's firing right back. He looked phenomenal. I think this is one of those. You got to pick the better fighter, especially in a course of a 5-round fight. They're going to find a way to win. I think Jan is just the more complete fighter. I will say it was kind of crazy. It didn't do anything, but seeing Corey get a takedown on Jan was
kind of
pretty
wild,
amazing.
Yeah, he's got some better grappling, I think, than people realize. And man, tough as nails. Corey was. He couldn't hurt him. He couldn't hurt Peter Yan. And no matter, I mean, and he landed some amazing shots, body work, knees, just ones and twos, everything you can throw. Yan was not phased at all. I mean,
Who wins the Aljo Yan rematch?
Man, I would assume Yan. I mean, how do you?
Is there anyone that's going to beat him?
Man, I don't know that. Not anybody in the top 5, I don't think right now. I mean, I think, somebody up and coming we'll see in a little bit, but I don't know that anybody right there is. I mean, he is just, gosh, he is good. That said,
he's got no weakness.
I didn't do horribly straight up. I think I won most of my straight up bets. I lost those 2. I won some other bets. I had a 5-man parlay. I don't even remember who was in it. There was somebody to win and then 4 fights to go over a round. And I had a win. I had 3 fights go over a round. And Islam Makhachev is just better than I thought he was.
Killed me.
Man, that ruined everything. I had him over a round. I thought, I knew Islam was winning that fight. Dan Hooker is not winning that fight. I thought it goes into the 3rd round. He wears Hooker down, gets a finish, or maybe he just not ekes out a decision, but wins a dominant decision just because Hooker's hard to put away. Man, 4 minutes into the round, and he's tapping out with a Kimura. I'm like, holy crap. How impressive
I did not see that coming. I had over a round and a half. I mean, Dan Hooker's so much of a veteran. I think, if anyone's going to push it to a decision, it's him.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Not even a round. Man, that just shows.
Volkov looked pretty unimpressive.
He did, but that's kind of what I had money on Volkov. I thought Volkov was going to win just exactly how he did with that front kick and jab, and just being able to avoid the takedown. Tybura's takedowns all come from a clinch. Volkov is super tall, and that doesn't surprise me. Actually, what surprises me is how little volume Volkov put out when I think he could have.
I think he was sick or something was up.
Tired. I don't know, but I don't know if we've seen him gas like that, and he didn't look great. That was probably one of his worst showings outside of the Curtis Blades.
Khamzat, exactly what we thought he was.
Yep. As good as everybody said, as good as the world thought. A lot of people are like, Lee is good money. He's such a big dog. I'm like, there is no way that guy is winning. That said, nope. Some people, on Instagram, I think it was John Anik was talking about Khamzat for a title shot and stuff. And I think we're getting a little premature on the title shot stuff. Lee is by far his biggest win. Mearshart, I don't know who you'd kind of consider a bigger win.
I think Mearshart's much better, but that's too small of a sample size. We talked about that.
And you figure you've got Lee. I think Khamzat is the truth. I think he is as good as it gets. But he needs to fight a Leon. He needs to fight a Wonder Boy. He needs to fight a Neil Magny. He beats a Wonder Boy and a Neil Magny. Okay, now fight a Leon Edwards or a Gilbert Burns, and then you get a title shot. But you have too many people ahead of you who have done everything in the division, and I think Khamzat is as good as any on a technical level. Let's see him fight some top talent first.
I just can't wait to see him fight. He's always entertaining, exciting, and man, nobody can even get out of a minute with him. It's insane.
That's insane. I don't know.
Magomed, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I don't know if he. I think they said in all of his UFC fights combined, which I believe is 4 now, he's been hit twice. In all of them.
Even in his fights before that, in Brave CF and all these leagues he was fighting in, I was looking up other fighters and I'm seeing his fights like 30 seconds with no punches landed. He just mauling these guys. It's insane.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal.
Magomed Ankalaev looked phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Put on a clinic. 2, I just wanted to touch on really quickly. Did you bet on Amanda Ribas or Zubaira Tukhugov?
I didn't. Oh, I bet on Tukhugov. I did.
So I made a call in the Telegram.
You want to know what it was?
Chat.
Sorry, I'm going to correct. So I did. I think I bet Tukhugov straight up, but I bet that fight to go over a round. That was in my parlay.
I took Zubaira. I took him based on one thing, and this was kind of crazy. So I took him on because this is a close fight. This fight has been scheduled a few different times, and I was like, man, what a great fight! I think Ramos is really good. Who's gonna win this fight? And then I'm looking at Zubaira's Instagram. Um, if you had to guess how many followers, how many followers do you think he has?
Man, I don't know. 500,000.
3.2 million followers.
What?
He is the Russian. Like there's Khabib and then there's Zubair. That's like it. Like he is the Russian. So where that's important is I'm saying, okay, the UFC wants him to win. He's Khabib's boy. He's in every single Russian's picture. They want him to win so badly. They wouldn't put him in a fight they didn't think that he could win. So I made that play purely on the Instagram followers. No research, no film study. I was just like, look, 3.2 million, we're going to go with that easy. And then the Hivas fight. So it's kind of like, I don't know if I can explain it as my theory, but one thing I was seeing in that fight, everybody was on Janji Roba as an underdog. I didn't hear one person say Hivas, not one. And I was like, really? Not one person says Hivas. She's the favorite. And everyone's saying dog, 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 dog is going to win. So the Vegas odds telling me that Hivas was the favorite, and then everybody and their mother being on Janji Roba as an underdog made me go, okay, Hivas is going to win. So 10 minutes before the fight, I had somebody ask me, who do you think is going to win? I said, oh, Hivas is going to win. That's what they're all saying. And first round looked horrible. Second, third, she came back to win it pretty easy.
Yeah, it's funny how the odds can sway. You see, like you said, you looked at his Instagram, you see 3.2 million, you're like, oh, this is the guy who wins. I mean, like
A-side.
Yeah, there's always an A, not always. There is very regularly an A side and a B side to fight cards, especially on the regional scene, especially in Bellator, Brave, LFA, CFFC. If you know the A side, oh man, you can make some money.
Albert Duraev, he was the A-side in that fight.
Absolutely.
I actually pulled out all my bets on that one. I thought that fight was going to be very close, and it ended up being very, very close. Go ahead.
No, it's just the one thing I was going to say is I was trying to actually pull my money out before the Islam Makhachev and Dan Hooker fight. Not because I thought anything other than, but I had a parlay that I'd already hit 4 of the 5 in, and I was like, man, I'm good. Bovada will let me pull it out.
Lock it down.
Yep, I'm out. But I was at my kid's flag football game. And so I wasn't able to, like, I was just like kind of halfway in and halfway out of watching stuff, and didn't, like, as Enzo's over there catching a football, I'm over here losing bets. And so that one kind of got me. Not that, like I said, I thought Makhachev wins that. I didn't think it was just literally like, hey, I'm already up. Let me pull out. Let's get out of this. And,
secure profits. That's important.
Always. Well, great. Well, good having you. I think we're running long on time right now. I want to get this going. Thanks again, everybody. Make sure you guys subscribe and like and share us with your friends. And whoever you are who's given us the 1 thumbs down, stop watching us.
Hey, I think we talked about this. I had to block the guy too.
Yeah,
he was getting mad at me for.
Yeah, he
was getting mad at me for whatever I was doing, and
the same guy who I had to block on Instagram, Brandan had a block on Instagram like 2 days after we recorded our last show. So, just leave us alone, people. I mean, if you want to chat, great, comment. Don't slide in our DMs and try and fight us and call us names because we disagree with your random underdog picks, okay?
You dumbass, why you bet on Choi? It's like, you don't even know how to work lines. Yeah, I don't know how to work lines.
Yeah.
All right.
You're too dumb for your own good. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Peace.